First off, let me say Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020. Also, this is the 200th episode, so thank you to everybody that's been listening and engaging in the conversation as we continue to bear down. So, with all that being said, I was going through the video or some of my videos, made a trip down memory lane, and I was watching Trubisky's interceptions and touchdowns from 2018 and realized something interesting. Matt Nagy's been calling these plays since last year. Yes, the question that everybody's keep talking about, play calling. And so looking at it, I was like, I wonder if we've been throwing like this all year. Look back to week 1. There it was. Then the next question, well, I wonder if it's been like that since last year. And I finally got around to checking, and it was. Absolutely. There was some different things we did. Of course, we slanted a little more, but by and large, it was the same concepts that we saw this year. So what does that mean? This is an example of something that I've talked about throughout this year. And that is the fact that people, a lot of fans, can look at the same thing, and if it works, they start cheering, and if it doesn't, they start booing. But it could be the same thing. And then since they can't understand why it worked and why it didn't work this time, they start adding their own context to it that's not there. And so I'll take you back to the Dallas game Thursday night. And I made that comment before that fans could look at the same thing and start applauding if it works. So we had a good game, and immediately, now that's how you call plays. And so I'm like, well, let's wait to the film because we don't know that it was that much different. And so we got to the film, and I'm like, no, come check out the film. It's the same stuff. Now it became, well, obviously the offensive coordinator was calling the plays, or obviously somebody else was calling the plays, or yeah, it was the same plays, but it was in a different sequence, in a different rhythm and situation. And I'm like, well, where's your evidence on that? What are you basing that off of? Do you have the percentage breakdown of what we do on third and short compared to this game versus the other games? No, you don't. People just started adding their own context. And the truth of the matter was, it was the exact same thing we were doing. Run game and everything. It was the same person calling the plays, same play design, same game plan. But it worked. So then all of a sudden people started applauding. Now, this is a case when we're talking about what does it mean that Matt Nagy's been always calling these plays, but he was coach of the year last year, but we did so well last year. And I think this is the same example, just on a bigger case. And I think this means that fans need to look in the mirror. They need to look in the mirror and really ask yourself, do you know how to evaluate? Because I said the same thing before, is that if you can't label something without seeing the result, or if you only can label something by seeing the result, you see it work, oh, it's great. And then you see something doesn't work, oh, obviously that sucks. But it was the exact same thing. And so obviously you can't decipher between the context and the factors of what really makes something good and what makes something bad besides just looking at results. So what gives you confidence that in the future you can still make good decisions? I'll give you another example. On that trip down memory lane, I was looking at the draft recap I was doing, and I was talking about O-line since then. And I had these people online, offline, these conversations that just started trying to bash me about saying we should have went for some more O-line depth and talent. And it's just like, what are you talking about? And they were confident. Karif White is this, and this player is this, and they're going to do this. And now we fast forward a year, and then those same people are so confident to say, Ryan Pace doesn't know how to draft, or obviously we need to do this, obviously this. So everything's so obvious, but you were clearly wrong. So what makes me think you have any insight going forward? And that's the question I pose to people, because as somebody that was talking about the offensive line a year ago and talking about we need more talent, but we need more depth is really what I'm scared about. I was like, okay, this is what I would do. And people were like, nah. Now that's all anybody can talk about is the O-line. So my question to them is, everybody's like, everybody must go. We need entirely different O-line, entirely different new O-line. Everybody sucks. Nobody should start in the NFL. What were they doing last year? Who's the stud on the offensive line last year that changed our results? That's my question. Because everyone keeps saying, I'm like, well, I agree, we need to upgrade. But who is the stud last year that I'm missing? Because Kyle Long missed games, and it was a revolving door at right guard. And this year, that was the weak spot again. Not exactly a revolving door, but same thing. The other four guys are the exact same people. So when you had Jordan Howard running, when you had Mitch Trubisky in the offense scoring points, where was all this energy for the O-line last year? Where was all this? Mr. Trubisky has no time to throw. Where was all this? The O-line doesn't know how to run block. Where was all that last year when we were winning games? And so if you could look at the same play calls, the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator, same play calling, the same O-line, and you clap and cheer, then why all of a sudden this year you got all this energy? What makes me think you know what you're talking about? Now, I put myself in that category as well as somebody that needs to look in the mirror, because I did the same thing. Now, I came into it, and I was week one. I said Trubisky's regressed, and everybody started going crazy, calling me stupid. So, okay. So I said Trubisky's regressed, obviously. And now I saw the play calling with video, because obviously I have video last year. And so I'm like, I wonder if they made this play call change because Trubisky needed more help. And, you know, he needed something easier. And that's what everybody was saying. I was on that train too. And that's why I said, let me go back to week one to see if that's true. And I'm like, nah, they came into the season with that, obviously. So then people was like, obviously, during the preseason, they saw that he wasn't ready. So now that's why I even said in that video, I was like, I need to go back to last season before I can make that conclusion. And now looking at last season, this is just who Matt Nagy is. Now, people are going to push their excuse a year back. Watch. They're going to be like, no, obviously he came in the offseason and saw Trubisky wasn't ready, so he changed his playbook. No, this is who Matt Nagy is. The meat and potatoes of his playbook or the passing concepts is like 3 or 4 concepts with a lot of variations of routes that comes out to be 10 or 11 plays probably. And that, not to say that he doesn't do other things, but that's the chunk of his playbook. And so looking at last year, the question is, well, what does that mean? And it's a couple things. Number one, we were in the red zone a lot more. I've said this throughout the year. Productive offenses have short fields, and we did not get short fields this year. And so last year, when we didn't have as far to go, when we were closer to the end zone, we were able to put up more points. And I said before 2018, I want to see our red zone attempts go up. I want to be in the top, whatever. And that's going to lead to success. And it did. We were in the top echelon of red zone attempts, and it led to points. But this year, we were not in the red zone a whole lot. And so we had to drive the field. And so when you're in drive mode instead of score mode, now your creativity gets stretched. Because guess what? Everybody's like, Matt Nagy was so creative, because we were in the white zone and red zone a lot. White zone tending in, he got real creative. He was able to do all these things, and people like, wow, look how creative Matt Nagy is. And we bought into the hype of what we were sold when he came in, because you saw all these funky plays, or you saw some plays that worked because you were on the goal line. You were able to get more creative. We weren't in that mode this year, and so since we had to drive the field, the creativity got stretched, and we started to see the meat and potatoes of this playbook, and it's been the same the last 2 years. And so that's really what it is. You heard Pace and Nagy say we got to go back and look at last year, and again, it's the same players, it's the same play call, it's the same plays. And so what happened last year is the defense put you in better position. They didn't do that a lot this year. Not their fault. They still were a good defense, because as an offense, you got to overcome it. But last year, your formula, you relied on the defense to not only put up points, but to put you in position. We heard McCaskey complain about that as well. I wouldn't complain about it. It's not like they sucked on defense, but they didn't do what they did last year. And on top of that, the offense didn't hold up their part of the bargain. And then, of course, you got the schedule and all these things that I talked about before the season, and people were not trying to hear that. I try to tell you, it's different factors. And so now you look at a consistency build of players, play calling, schemes, all that. And you look at the results. And that's why, again, I would like to upgrade the O-line. I said that. I was the only one really saying that. It was other people, but I would like to upgrade the O-line. But to sit here and go into the 0 to 100 mentality, these people suck, they obviously can't play. Well, if they obviously can't play, if they obviously shouldn't be starters, then tell me what happened last year. That's my question to you. So I've been saying this because I realize it needs to be said recently. This 0 to 100, you suck or you're a good player, is a dumb mindset. It's not true. Things can work. This is football. You can make it work. People are scheme dependent. They depend on the other people around them, especially on offense. You can make it work. When you have a running back going downhill and with good vision, it's going to make the O-line look better. When you have O-line blowing up huge giant holes, it's going to make the running back look like a beast. When you have receivers snagging down passes with amazing radius, it's going to make the quarterback look more accurate. It all works in tandem. So all this, they can't play. Yes, they can play. All of them can play. They're NFL players. I've said this over and over again. It can work. Yes, it can work. You can sit here all day, all you want. This sucks. All their turnstiles. Oh, this person can't play. Mitch can't throw a pass. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Everything can work if it is put together and coached correctly. Now, more talent makes it more easy, of course, because then you don't have to worry as much about schemes. But the whole 0 to 100 mentality is just so annoying. So don't try to challenge me about upgrading O-line, because I've been talking about it before you were. But at the same time, I'm going to challenge you back. When you talk about how obvious it is that they're horrible, tell me what was happening last year when they were being so horrible and we were winning games. When you're going to tell me, obviously, Matt Nagy doesn't know how to call plays, tell me what happened last year. And I'm not defending any of them. I'm just asking because I just hear a bunch of fans flip-flopping when they see a result change. And now they flip-flop it. Obviously, he doesn't know how to do this. Obviously, they didn't know how to do that. Well, then you explain to me the discrepancies between last year and this year. I can, because I can go to the tape. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace will be able to, and they should know already, but they'll go to the tape. They can do that same thing too. And if you know football, you could go to the tape and actually dissect it. But for everybody that's not doing that and they're too busy telling me what obviously is happening, then I would like for you to explain it to me. Because now we know and we've seen that it's been the same stuff. It's been the same stuff. So anyway, go down to the comment section. Can't wait to hear all this conversation. Get it started, share it around, thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.